Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. This is Kim. Thanks for clicking on and watching. We're going to weave today, as you can see in the video as you're watching. I'm kind of, trying to go through here and then talk at the same time. I can't walk and chew bubble gum, if you ever wanted to know that. Not at this point in my life. Well, anyways, we are weaving today, and I wanted to get started. I want to give you a close-up view, and I'm pushing the shuttle through right now. If you haven't ever wove, it's a tabletop loom, and I'll just pull that through, and I'll pull back here in just a minute as soon as I pull this one through and kind of comb it down with my comb. I wanted to be able to weave, and this is a tool that, you can get. I wanted to be able to weave with you, and so I'm just using this kind of tabletop loom. But, this is something you can take this in the car on a car trip. You probably could even take this size. They have smaller ones even on a plane. But I was trying to build up a little bit. Let me pull back so you can see. I'll let my shed down there. So this is what I've got going, and ooh, that's real close. Let's see. Oh, that's closer. There we go. So this is what I've got, and I used some of my roving to give it a more of a three-dimensional feel, and it's sticking up right now. But see, I've got some other fabric I'm going to put in here, and it's sort of the same color, so that's why I was building up the green. And I'm just kind of comb those down gently. I'm not trying to teach you how to weave. I'm just kind of sharing weaving with you if you're interested at all. It's not super common. In some parts of the United States it is. I've always, since being a kid, been interested in weaving. I have a bigger loom. It's not a floor loom by any stretch of the imagination, but it is much bigger than this. I can weave scarves and table runners and things like that with it. But I got, my mojo is really, like, for creativity, not been coming around much, and so I haven't been feeling like it with the move and everything. So I thought, let me try to put some different materials together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weave this through, and that's what we'll do. This is a piece of some kind of sort of nylon, and normally I do not work with artificial materials unless it's acrylic paint. But I thought I would use this. I had made, years ago, I've got all colors in this. I'd made, those burnt flowers. And so what I'm going to do is weave this through. But first off, I'm going to show you how we use this sword, or sort of shed stick, and I go over and under, and to get this to the proper place that I'm going to weave this in. Sort of a very methodical thing to do. I mean, it's just very peaceful in weaving. Learning it is not necessarily. I have a shot, what is that? It's a table loom, and then I have another upright table loom that I got from Lost Pond Looms on Etsy. I'll link those I'll link those down below. This, I think, was a loom that my daughter gave me. See, that stick goes through there, and then what we do is turn it, as you can see, and it opens that up. then I have the ability, I mean, I could put this fabric on a big needle or what have you, but I just pull it through. And you know, I'm just experimenting again. I love to experiment with materials and see what they do. And sometimes I come up with great ideas, sometimes I don't. But, you know, at least I made a try for it. So I was doing it like this, and that will look cool. And then I will go ahead with my green, and I'll probably, what I'll do on this edge is I'll tie this off here, and then I will, up as I go further up in the piece, I will tie it off. But I like those blues, and I'll probably use some of this if I like it. I'm just going to cut that right there. And this one, I want to just see, I'm going to cut this a little thinner. Oops. See if I can do it without bumping the camera. Amazing. Okay, so it's a little thinner, and it'll just give a sheer. And it's about 12 inches long. And so what I'll do is I'll fill in where this is, and I'll need some more pieces, but I have plenty of this. So I take it and I fold it over. I may even need to cut this in half also. But see where my thicker pieces started here? And then I have this thin, well, it's not real thin yarn, but it's hand spun yarn. And it's thick and thin. So it's just leaving gaps in it, and I don't want those gaps. So what I would do is do like a raya knot around this and pull this through. Oops, sorry for bumping. It's right next to that. And then just pull this through. And then I have the ability later, if I want to cut, if I don't want it that long, but it's taking up the space, see? And it gives, you know, it's a different texture than this flat wool. I dyed this myself. Of course, it's in my color. I can't remember if it's from my sheet, but I've had it for a while. I think it was just possibly roving that I had, or it could have been from my sheep. I can't say for sure. Anyways, that, and then how that looks in the finished piece, and I'll put, you know, 2 or 3 more in here in these holes. And of course it won't be finished today in this video, but I'll bring it back and we'll see how it goes. Get a couple more of these pieces. This is plenty to tie this off, and this will be tied around here so it won't come off. I mean, when you add in these pieces, honestly, it's just a lot of smoke and mirrors. I mean, when the finished piece is done, it's not something that you're going to wear and struggle with and carry. Now, if it is a piece that's a scarf, you couldn't do these kind of things with. But if it's just a wall hanging, like, I'm never going to hang this in my house. This is just kind of playing around. You know, this red and pink, it's not my flavor, so, you know, it's not my colors at all. So it wouldn't be hung in my house. Now, this has the edge. I don't know if you can see that, but I think it'll blend in okay. So I'll put another piece here. I like to do things in 3s and 5s. That's the best idea for design. But you just do another raya knot. I'll trim it later. When I do different things like this, it inspires me to do my other artwork, my paintings, my, you know, paper, you know, making journals. So I just do something different. That's how I cope with no inspiration. I just figure out what I feel like doing and then do that. I hadn't been working on weaving for a while. Okay, we'll put that piece there. And I've got this piece. Of course, they're about 12 inches because that leaves space if you wanted to cut it later. And I think this just adds, you know, a touch. This wool is really kind of bland. It's a very flat color. It's a pretty color. It doesn't have very many variations in it. So, okay, here's our piece to put in. I mean, this could be woven through here like that too. It's just, you're only limited by your own imagination. And then you just come up with ideas as to how you're going to make it work. This one I'm just a bit sorry if it wasn't in the film, in the front of the camera. I'm going to twist it a little bit and just give it a little more. I think I'll just tie a little knot here, just for fun. Let's put it around both of these. Put this through. Yeah. I have to have the camera real close. See, I like that. I like that. That gives me something. If I wanted to later, I can stitch beads onto this. Beads would be super easy to stitch on these little heads of the rye knot here. And I put a knot in it and then I pulled it around, and it sort of gives it a little thicker look. So I may put some other things in there. I'm not certain what I'm going to do with that right now. Let's go ahead and weave another, get with this. Oh no, we're going to take that out. And we're going to take this over here and take the sword through. See, this is over, so I need this to go under. It's just opposite each time. You can teach your kids how to do this. I mean, like, probably 7, maybe 6-year-olds, I'm not certain, but 7 or 8, easy. Maybe even younger. It's just back and forth. I mean, the actual concept of going over under, it's very simple. And then here. Okay. So this has to come way down. Sorry for bumping. See, that fills a nice space there. Okay. So now we have our shuttle. This is, did I show you this? Oops. This is a shuttle. And I just started wrapping yarn around it, random yarn. Some of it's hand spun, some of it is Noro. That's the kind of yarn I like to knit with and weave. And so then this with your yarn is going to go through here. And this is so big. I like to push the limits. There's so much yarn on there. So that goes through. And just pull it out. It's kind of thick for a while. And what is very important is you do not want to pull this side right here. This side right here. You do not want to pull it. You want to keep a nice loop. Let this come out. And then we're going to use the comb and pull it down. Okay. Because what happens is, as you weave up, when you pull this too tight, as you weave up, you're going to see this in your piece. You don't want to see that. You want it to be nice. Oops. My CD fell off the table. No problem. You want to see a really nice straight edge here, especially if you're doing a scarf. And this is only 12, 14 inches long. So, I mean, I could do several of them, but my other loom I can do, I've done scarves on them, I've done like heating pads, hot pads you can put on the table, because the yarn is, of course, especially if you're using wool, I don't generally use acrylic too much. If I was doing pom-poms or something, I might. But with this, it's so much time invested in your weaving. You want to use something that's really going to last. And that's why I like using the wool. Plus, I raised 10 sheep years ago. I had a little flock, so I still have quite a bit of wool. And we will go from there. Okay, I'm going to cut that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take, I'm not cutting this, not cutting the yarn, but this specialty fiber that I'm using, I'm cutting it. What I'm going to do is put one on one side of the yarn, just to make it extra strong, and one on the other. And then I'm going to tie it off. And as I weave something else on here, or put beads on it, I'll bring it back. See, as I tie that, you can see how that wants to come in. And that is exactly what we don't want it to do. But I could give you that example. So we'll just do it a very loose, and then these will be tucked in behind the weaving. See? And that will be against the wall. So, and the other thing is, if you start out with a color, you have extra down here. This is a dark red, this is a Noro, medium weight, and then I had this red, this is alpaca, and then I had this, it's wool. So I like this because it's variegated pinks. But what I can do is put thinner, I can do raya knots over this and have it to hang over the piece. Okay, and I just keep bumping it. Let's see where we're going. Oh, this is closer. There, you can see better. Now you can find a video and you can make a loom, a little cardboard loom. You just take a piece of cardboard and put slats in it, and then you wrap, instead of having pegs to wrap it, you place it into the holes that you'd cut into the cardboard. There's YouTube videos on there. I would just tell you to search that. But you see how that's why it's a really strong fabric. You want to, it's woven. You have your warp. This is my warp, and I can show you that up here. That beautiful wool in the green. And so these are the warp. If I can. And this is the weft. This coming across here is the weft. So between the warp and the weft, you have a very strong piece of material. So let's see. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you will come back and subscribe. I do all kinds of arts and crafts, and I like to inspire you to do paintings and anything creative. Anything creative. I mean, cooking even is very creative. And they say baking is very good for your brain, as you read the recipe and do those things. So creativity is a great way to save money on therapy. Oh, I hope you find that funny. But, therapy is not a bad thing either, because it can be very, very helpful. And art therapy is extremely therapeutic. So, anyways, hope you had a good time and just opened up your mind to some weaving. I'll be back later to share the finished piece with you. And if you'll just give me a thumbs up, I hope you subscribe, and I hope you have a fantastic day.